Oh,
Congratulations, Brookvale. New Heights approved the first building before the Gazette comes through has now been approved, and we're going to tell you all about it. Brookvale, congrats. Stay tuned. Let it rain.
welcome to Morning Minutes. Myself, Michael Bergio, Mark Novak, episode 1399. New heights reached for Brookvale. 18 meters has been approved, which equals a 4-story building in the industrial area. To put in perspective, the previous height allowance was 11 meters. So this is an extra 7 meters of concrete.
We're cheating.
Well, I can do that better. Look, I've got that, Mark.
That is incredible. That is incredible. That is incredible. And you know what? People have been waiting for years for this, and the first approval goes through and gets approved even before it comes through Gazettal. What a legend of a council making the consideration and concession for it.
Yeah, so I think, why does this matter and what type of effects will this have on Brookvale? One, why it matters: if you own a block, it can tell you what you can do with your block. You may be able to look to develop it, or maybe if you're renting, there could be concerns next door could now redevelop. But also the good for the area is there could be a lot more properties being built, which means newer properties. You often hear people make the remarks like about Brookvale, there's a lot of old buildings. There's a lot of buildings that need love. And the biggest issue that we could see on the ground, and as agents, we get a really, really good view of the feasibility of developing these blocks. Now, you sometimes see this in residential where the house is worth so much. It's not worth knocking down the house to build 4 units. And there are a lot of blocks in Brookvale where, yes, you could redevelop it into smaller factories or strata factories, but you just can't build enough to make it worth its while. Or that the hottest commodity at the moment in Brookvale has been industrial units, and where you can have a workshop, a gym, a brewery, or a factory mechanic. But if you redevelop, and with 11-meter height limit, that really only allows for one factory, 5 to 7 meter height downstairs, and then upstairs would either be offices or smaller production suites. With an 8-meter height allowance, you can have 2 levels, potentially 3 levels of factory space, because you can build a ramp. Because you're getting the extra height, you can sort of sacrifice some floor space to build a ramp to make it usable warehousing space that trucks can.
Show us the plans. This is iconic for Brookvale. This is the first approval, Michael, in over 100 years. This is the first approval ever for Brookvale
of this height
of 18 metres. This is an iconic decision made by council by approving this. It's opening up the floodgates for all other property owners. It is setting precedents. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. So Mark, what style, talk us through this, DA. What have they got approved? And do you think this will be similar to what other landowners will build, or do you think something slightly different? We're seeing a surge in storage units, starting from 18 squares to 35 square meters, or the mini factories. What's here, and what do you think we'll see?
Well, if you go to that side profile, ladies and gentlemen, you can reference the tree. When you see the tree, it helps you back one. Yep. If you see that tree, you can reference ground level where that is, and you got another. So you got 4 levels from the street upwards, and you got 2 levels from the street downwards to the ground. So that's 6 levels of bulk there. And what's interesting, if you tap onto an overview from the top, Sergio, um, what you'll actually see is it's pretty much boundary to boundary. They've pushed back on the front boundary where the tree is, but they've built up to the boundary on most of the property. So very different to residential where you sort of come in, up, in, up, in, up, like a your terrace upwards. This is just one big ice cube.
Yeah, so I dropped the phone. Here we go. Let's get the front. Here we go. So you got Pittwater Road to the left, Sydenham Road.
Yes. This is big, guys and girls. This is big. Like, this is the highest allowance we've seen for industrial on the whole of the Northern Beaches of just 100,000 properties. 18 metres is just prolific.
It's not just this unit block. There's Westfields, formerly known as Warringah Mall, have put through 1,500 residential units.
Yeah, so they got approved for about they were going through on the master plan for about 700 or 800 units, and they've just ramped through now 1,500. They're going to be putting through an application for it. You know, to give you an idea of how big that is for people on the Northern Beaches, Meriton had 360 units. This is
It's 5 Meritons. We can't even fathom that. Like, some suburbs only have 1,500 properties.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's only 16 in commercial at the moment. There's only 1,600 properties, and I'm pretty sure apartments it's very similar. So they're virtually doubling the size of Brookvale in density in one development.
Plus, now they're going to 18 metres. Where's everyone going to park? And how's the traffic going to work? Everyone's wondering, Burge. That's the two things people always ask: parking and traffic.
And that's where I was having this conversation with my physio, where I hate it how developers get the bad rap when it comes to parking or certain types of businesses. I know in Brookvale they're looking to change the zoning policies with certain types of businesses being able to operate, and the biggest reason is for parking. And it's like, why should certain businesses be punished because basically the council hasn't rectified the parking issue? They should just build a 10-story car park with 1,000 car spaces and let all businesses thrive, let all development thrive. And rather than saying that business is too successful, it brings too many cars, let's pull it back. Because then what happens? Then you get no one going to that area, and then the suburb starts to die. And it's like, okay, well, you can park there, but no one wants to be there. So I think instead of we, the people, saying, oh, bloody developers, oh, the gym business or childcare business takes up all the car spaces, why don't we put the pressure back on council and say, well, how about that? Like, there's a council car park in Brookvale behind the TAB, which is just ground level. Council could go ahead and say, let's build a 10-story car park, and that would accommodate all the parking requirements, and we can have all businesses thrive. Because I tell you what, any business owner who would celebrate the restriction of another business being able to operate, for example, a gym. Let's say you're a window shop next to a gym and your customers can't park because of the gym clients. How many customers have you gotten from that gym being there and all the gym members going past every day to their gym saying, oh, windows. And then the day they need windows, or they're at a barbecue and a friend say, I need some new windows, that gym member goes, oh, there's one right next to my gym, I recommend you go there. So I think we need to always be looking for solutions for the parking rather than trying to restrict development or businesses. For example, councils could say, all right, the height limit is...
It's the wrong way around.
Yeah, councils could say, all right, the height limit's 18 metres, but we're going to give you 24 metres and you have to build one level of parking for public use at the ground level of your development. Developers will build whatever's needed to get the approval. So, yeah, and I think 1,500 apartments will be phenomenal for Westfields. Think of how many downsizers who are in the larger homes and they don't want to sell because they may be close to their neighborhood shops. They've got everything at their fingertips and they don't want to buy into a larger development, maybe on the beachfront, where here they can buy into the Westfields, where you're going to have Coles, Woolworths, doctors all at the fingertips and public transport. So I think it could be amazing.
It's going to be good. So, guys, congratulations to Brookvale for the height. Very, very exciting for our clients.
You just break out, Mark, but I know you're saying congratulations to Brookvale population. Exciting for the new DA approval and the new buildings to be built. And let's hope we get some cool new businesses come through. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. And Jeff Hughes got a comment there. Give Jeff a bit of
maybe they should
what's
be
he saying
parking
there?
under Brookvale Oval or even Manly Oval. Exactly right. They've been talking about rebuilding Brookvale Oval for a decade. Rebuild it and build 5 levels of parking underneath. So it's it goes back to
Take a parking levy and from all the development that's going to happen and just throw a car park underneath.
Yeah. And it goes with what I'm saying. Instead of hammering the private user, put the pressure on council to come up with solutions within development progression rather than just stagnation. We all good?
Big time. Sorry, I'm a bit crunchy. Okay. I don't know what's wrong with the IT, but everyone take care.
Thank you.
See you, Mr.